Hello TikTokers, I'm Black Bright News, and just so you know, I'm not a soft touch. And while I'm talking about narcissists and showing them empathy and love and consideration and giving out what we want back, I'm also aware that you've got some narcissists who need a boot up the backside. And so sometimes it's about not being afraid of them. Now, it's a very difficult thing to say when not to be afraid, because depending on the type of narcissist who's in your life, or even if they're not a narcissist, they're just a person, you need to gauge whether or not that person can hurt you, whether or not you're in danger. You have some people, they deal with drugs, they have weapons, they're abusive, and as you know, I work with people who are victims of domestic abuse, and so I see it first, well, not first hand, but I read about it third hand, about what happens to women, especially in domestic abuse situations. Now, with narcissists, this doesn't go for all of them because, like I say, one cap doesn't fit all. Some of them could have had some kind of weird background. When I say weird, they were abused, beaten, bullied, and it's turned them into unhealthy adults and violent adults, sadomasochistic adults. And so you have to know who you're dealing with. But if we're dealing with the average narcissist, who is really a weak person, they have low self-esteem, they have no gumption, they're basically all about the mouth, all about using their head. When I say using their head, it's about manipulation, getting one over on you, that kind of stuff. If you're dealing about the ones that, you know, puff and blow up and they're going to walk out, they're going to leave you, and they're the best thing since sliced bread. I keep using that phrase, but they're making you feel as though you cannot live without them. They're the best thing that happened to you, and yeah, if they leave you, you're not going to be able to manage. These type of people, you call their bluff. Because one thing with those type of narcissists who've got a big mouth and who boast and who make out like, the world revolves around them, it's usually just mouth. Because they don't want, these type of people are quite insecure, and they're very frightened, really. They don't want to go to jail, these types. You do have the types, like I said, people who've had a really bad upbringing. They've lived through violence. They don't care. They don't care if they go to prison. So you have to know the type of person you're dealing with. But if you're dealing with somebody who's never been in prison, never been with somebody, and never been involved with the law, and yet they're giving all of this, giving you a lot of mouth, threatening you and making you feel really uncomfortable, you need to call their bluff, because most of them are not going to do what they say they're going to do. They're not leaving you. They're not going anywhere. You're the best thing that's happened to them. The only thing is that if you decide that you don't want them, that's when you're going to get all the pleading and the beseeching and the stalking and all that kind of stuff. You're going to get that only because you have decided to leave them. They haven't decided to leave you. Ideally, a narcissist wants to leave the person when they can't give them whatever it is they need. But if it turns out that they've kind of exploited and just gone over the top with their victim, in quotes, they are not going to be in a position to be the ones to call the shots. So all I want to say is that most narcissists are cowards. Most of them are all mouth, no gumption. What else do I want to say? They have no power. And when you think about it, where do they get their power from? Most of their power is the power they have over you that you've allowed them to have over all these years. But in and of themselves, they don't have anything. What have they got to show? And if you examine your narcissist, you will see that they have nothing, usually. So they have no power, and that is why they have to force you to obey. They have to show that they are in control, or pretend that they are in control, so that you feel, because what they do is they boost themselves up to you, make out like they're some big shot, and they know what they're talking about, so that you can feel, oh, you've got somebody important, you've got somebody with some influence, you've got somebody who can do something for you. Down the line, you find there's nothing that they can do for you, nothing that they want to do for you, apart from control you and try to get you on side so they can get what they want. That's what you've got in your life. So they'll threaten and get angry, threaten to leave, threaten to cut you off. They'll even spread lies about you and say you've done this to them and done that to them. But, that's only because they don't want to look like the bad guy. Everybody else is the bad guy. Or their favourite thing is to make it look like, oh, I'm not going to say anything bad about somebody. I am not going to say what they did to me. So you're left to their imagination. Or you're kind of thinking, oh, he's a decent bloke, isn't he? He's not really talking bad about the other person. That's because he's got nothing bad to say. You see? So, all I'm saying is that you have to gauge who you're with. If they've got a history of violence and they're threatening you and that kind of stuff, just be on your guard, be careful, don't goad, don't bait, don't challenge. I always say the best way to deal with a narcissist is through a calm demeanour, respect, be composed, use emotional intelligence, and be prepared to call their bluff. God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of love and a sound mind. So, I'll leave you with those words. Bye for now.